So, someone I respect and ask for honest, raw feedback, right? They told me that my software was too basic. Okay. This person isn't a stranger. This is a person who has bought my courses, paid for my consults, and has been doing local SEO for a long, long time. And for that reason, I really wanted to know what he was thinking and why he didn't want my very first SaaS that I've released. Okay. So he looked at a report I did for him, for the, no, not for him. It was one I did and I sent it to him. Uh, Again, this is a GPT rescue audit, one of many tools that are going to be released within a few weeks within RankPhoenix. So the software name is RankPhoenix, and GBP Rescue Audit is one of many tools under it. Okay. He said he could do most of what GBP Rescue Audit uh, does with Claude in an afternoon, right? Or in a few minutes or whatever, right? Like, don't hold me to every word because I'm not going to read the conversation. Now, I do think he's partly right, but there are a few concerns you brought up, and I'm going to go through each one of them right now. So, concern one, like I said, it's too basic. I could just do this with Claude. And many people, are probably doing it. So, this is something huge that needs to be addressed in the age of AI. So, my answer is yes and no. You can absolutely paste a GBP into Claude and get an audit back. Okay. I've tried it before. I built anything. All right. So there are nuances here. Try to do that with the top three GBPs, and that's when things really get messy. Okay. What you get can look great at the surface level, but it can be wrong a lot of times, a fair amount of times, to the point where it was just taking too much brain power and energy for me to correct it over and over and over. Okay. It invented review counts for me. It described service pages that did not exist on the site when I had already presented all of the stuff with the data I gave it. I literally gave it the data, okay? So if you already know the client cold, you could catch some of the lies, okay? If you have memory issues, you're not going to be able to. It's just a lot to juggle. If you don't, you send a client a report that could be full of confident nonsense. Okay. So most of them are built on, like, the programming aspects have been fine, right? TypeScript, whatever. It's when I use the Claude's abilities, even though I thought I gave it everything to make the proper calls, sometimes it still steers wrong. Okay. So this is coming from someone who has played with Claude a fair amount. Now, if you are super savvy, you've built skills that work amazingly well. Congratulations. Awesome. Then obviously my tool isn't free. Okay. But this is for people, like, I see posts every day in big groups. Oh, Claude handle all of my agency's clients. Have you paid attention to the details? Do you know if it hallucinated some details? So there's a lot of energy, a lot of watching you have to do. And maybe it would have been just quicker if I had just done the audit myself instead of involving Claude. Okay. So that's concern number one. Concern number two, you're asking me to pay monthly for tools that don't exist yet. Fair point. Okay. So here's the honest version. Okay. RankPhoenix is meant to have multiple tools in it. and I am working on them day and night. Okay. There are two tools live right now. GBP Rescue and Topic Clusters are live right now. Okay. But these aren't tools that compare to what you're loosely doing with Claude. Okay, there is intelligence baked into these. Let's just take the easier one, topical clusters. Okay, should be easy to do with Claude theoretically. It can generate so many ideas. Okay, but if you're doing SEO without, and this might sound condescending, and I don't mean for it to be, but if you're not putting thought into how you're generating these article ideas, then you're going to be easily replaceable and your SEO is not going to take off. I'm sorry, it's just not. I like to put thought into my topic clusters. I like to integrate the buyer's journey into it and so much more. Okay. So that tool isn't just a prompt behind the scenes saying, Claude, generate 10 articles around this keyword and just throw fluff your way. It also takes keyword cannibalization into consideration. If, let me give you a quick example. I'm in San Diego and the county is called San Diego County. Okay. So at first I had this idea where like my very basic idea was, hey, if an article can cannibalize, then use the county instead, right? But then I was like, oh, that's not going to work because it still has the service terms in it. Okay. So it could potentially cannibalize, and that becomes an annoying little problem down the road, or a big problem if you're doing dozens or hundreds of things, right? So then I implemented another solution that goes beyond that. Okay. So each one of these tools is going to improve over time. Okay. I'm not just giving you basic stuff, it's how I do SEO. And, 99% of the time, you give me a site and I can point out like so many flaws with it on page. Like, and that's what the goal of these tools is. And I'm doing it a disservice by just calling it audit and audit suite of tools because there's intelligence built into this. Okay. And I'm tweaking it every day to be better. And GBP Rescue Audit is so much more. It's actually taking the top three. You can choose to conduct the audit under local search results or Google Maps. Okay, that option is given to you. Pulls the top three and literally picks apart everything that they're doing that you're not. Okay, and then it gives you a fixed plan. Like this all happens. The GBP Rescue Audit happens in under 4 minutes. If it takes you, I don't know, let's say 30 minutes to an hour auditing GBPs, is that not worth it under 4 minutes? Who wants to sit there and do this when you can do this for $50 a month if you join as a founder? Anyways, I went off on a tangent. All the tools have an estimated date attached to them. And I've already run into delays because there are a couple of edge cases that popped up, a couple of bugs that popped up, and that's where my time went, right? But that doesn't mean that the current people that have subscribed are just gonna have to put up with total crap. Like 80, 90%, 90, I would say both tools, 99% are done. It's there, right? So yeah, like the rest of the tools are getting built out. And once all the tools are out, do you really think I'm only going to charge $49 a month? they're going to be worth their weight, worth their intelligence. The base plan, and I'm being honest about this, will probably be $99 a month, if not a little bit higher, just because of the amount of time it saves. And it has intelligence built into it. When you compare it to the dozens or hundreds of hours it can save you, it's worth the money, even at $99 or more. So at the very least, you're getting 50% off if you join as a founder. Okay. And there's other benefits too that I have not had the time to slow down and explain to you guys. So one big benefit is I'm very close to rolling out like extra credits that founders will be able to buy at a special rate that regular subscribers to the software will not be able to get. Okay, they won't be able to get that. And there's more. Concern 3, it's vibe coded, so it'll have bugs. It will. It did have a few. I wish it didn't. Right? I obsessed over this. And still, a couple really basic things got past me, and I was not happy. But guess what? I fixed them as fast as humanly possible. Okay. Just last week or a few days ago, I realized there was a failed report, one failed audit report. By the way, for any failed audit reports, the system does not take credits. Okay. You don't lose anything. But I noticed it and I was like, let me look into why this is happening. When I manually typed in the keyword the person was trying to audit, Google gave thin results, meaning there weren't enough competitors. Okay, so we hit an edge case. Okay, instead of telling the user, hey, this is why we can't run a report for you, I've literally programmed it to run if there's 3 competitors, right? I could do it with 2 as well, and that's something to think about. I just didn't want the user to feel ripped off if there weren't 3 competitors. So now I've updated that, right? This just happened a couple days ago. I've updated that. And now when you run the report and you do have thin competitors, it's more intelligent. It's going to tell you why it can't present to you. Now, if you ask anybody who's subscribed to the app, they should let you know if they're in that RankPhoenix Facebook group that I have been communicating 2 to 3 times in that group, letting them know what's going on, what's been updated. And I'm working on this suite of software every day, pretty much every day. Yeah, and resolving these bugs as fast as possible. So yeah, and that's all I can do at the end of the day. This is part of software, right? Part of apps, part of releasing something in the wild. Things are going to need to be updated. And if you're not okay with that, I understand. And frankly, I don't want you in there because that's the nature of software and apps. Concern 4, why would I pay for software when Claude exists? This goes back to the other concern. Again, this is a big one. You're not, when you sit down with Claude, you have an empty screen in front of you, unless you've built skills, very thorough skills. That's fine. Bravo. That's amazing. But with my app, you're getting 17 years of local SEO. Okay. Things baked in that are so easily overlooked every time I audit somebody. Okay, it's going to tell you which gaps actually move rankings. It's going to prioritize fixes. Okay. It's going to tell you which ones are least important, which ones are most important. The cleanest way I do SEO is going to be baked into that, literally. And a blank chat, I'm sorry, a blank Claude chat window does not come with that. It can come with some hallucinations that can be very hard to pick up, like I said earlier. But again, there are super smart people who have done this in other ways, and congratulations to them, right? They're not my they're not going to subscribe to my tool, and that's totally okay, right? Different people focus on different things. Concern 5, you're an SEO, not a programmer. What if you don't deliver the tools you've promised? Okay, so about that, I thought I have sprinkled this all over whenever I get interviewed, but I guess a lot of folks still don't know. But I graduated with a degree in computer science in 2007. Okay. I held a job as a programmer for a couple years or so before I moved out here and was learning SEO and then worked on that journey. Okay, so programming isn't completely new to me. I was in those boring classes for years on end. And in fact, in a class of about 30 people, maybe a little less, I was one of 2 females to graduate with a comp sci degree. And I was the only female to graduate with a comp sci degree in Bachelor of Science, not Bachelor of Arts. So it's not like I'm jumping into this with my eyes closed. Yeah. So programming back in the day for me and debugging for hours on end was pure torture. So when something exciting like SEO came along, I loved it. Okay. Now, with the help of AI tools, much faster. And honestly, like I imagine, like it feels like a hit of a very popular drug. Okay. It's fun and exciting for me now. And yeah, like I love it. So I understand there are concerns about this, that I'm not a perma, this and that. Well, I am one, right? I just switched paths. So I'm coming into this with far more knowledge than somebody who has blindly jumped into this. Okay. I'm also very risk averse to a fault. So I try to be as thorough as possible with my research before releasing something to the public. Um, but let's talk. What if I don't release these tools? What would happen? I'm going to lose customers who have subscribed. They're going to feel ripped off, and they should, right? Second thing, my reputation is going to be tarnished. I don't freaking want that. Actually, that's something I'm proud of. I've been in this industry for a long time, and I try to do what I feel is right by me in this industry. And I think that's kept my reputation. I have clients from years ago, like they've known me for over 7 or 10 years, people who buy my courses. I've been here for a long time, 2008 or so. And I'm not planning on going anywhere. Okay. I'm not gonna rip you off with this suite of software. I'm just saying, just putting it out there. Um, the only way I wouldn't release a tool is if something was impossible to do. And I know it's not. With all the things available, I just know it's not impossible. But let's say the worst happens. I can't release a tool because it's just not doable. I would compensate my customers, subscribers for that. I would either give them more credits, just whatever the situation calls for, because I'm not here to rip anyone off. I don't plan on letting myself down, and most importantly, especially not the founder 100 who have chosen to trust me in my app and have given it a chance, right? So let's talk about who RankPhoenix is for. Okay. So it's for people who want a local SEO audit done right without becoming a prompt engineer and babysitting the shit out of Claude or ChatGPT. It's also for SEO freelancers who are scaling, SEO agencies who want to cut labor costs, any SEO who wants to save hours of time, and people who want as much information as possible before like just jumping into client work. And they want experience with it, right? And what I talk about is like not just giving you a basic topic cluster tool, but also making keyword cannibalization ideas into it and knowledge into it and stuff like that, right? That's the most basic thing without me rambling. And again, I've tried doing SEO with Pod, and some parts can be a hit, and others a complete dud, wasted time. If you enjoy building your own systems and you already know exactly what to look for, you probably don't need me, and that's a real answer, right? But if you want to grow your agency and not worry about updating systems and tools, give RankPhoenix a try. If you have any questions or concerns, drop them below. I'm on Facebook, where my handle or my name is Moon Phoenix SEO. And yeah, that's it. I will see you next.